What's up, guys? How you doing? Pips here. Maybe you don't recognize me because I shave my beard, looking like a baby now. Can't even recognize myself on the screen. Co-founder of PropsMadness, professional sports bettor. We have 11 games slate tonight. Kind of weird to get this huge slate on Tuesday, which is nice. So let's dive in. First game on the slate, 76ers against the Pacers. Honestly, guys, don't think we can bet this one because we have Andrew Nemhard questionable, and then on the other side we have Embiid questionable. I expected him to play last game. Now I have no idea what's going on. He was out since 8th of February. I expected him to just get rested, extended rest over the All-Star break, and now he's out first two games back after the All-Star break. I don't know what's going on. Him being out and in completely changes how we approach this game. So I don't like to guess when I have 11 games slate. So moving on from this one pretty quickly. Next game on the board, great game between two of the top teams on the East, Knicks against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Cleveland Cavaliers just lost to the Thunder without their three best players. So yeah, you need to dive into this one. They need to bounce back. But Mitchell closed at 25.5 against OKC. Now we have 27.5, even though he stayed under. Books are getting smart. This opening line is very much well set for this one. I think there is no value betting either side, as though Knicks are tougher matchup, but he'll get the volume. So overall, not much for this. James Harden at 18.5. I definitely lean over this line against the looking at the games with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Close game against the Kings, he went over. Close game against the Denver Nuggets, he went over. Then they blow out Wizards, blow out against the Nets. Close game against the Hornets, but they were leading the entire time. He stays under right on the line. And then last game they lose. Close game again. He goes over, even though they played against the best defense in the league. So when they need him to score big, he scores big. When they win by a lot, he just dimes. Overall, looking at the game against the Knicks, he scored 23 earlier this season, even though they lost by 12. Kawhi played in that game. So I'm leaning over for James Harden points, not enough to make an official bet. With Cleveland Cavaliers, when the games are not a blowout, 30 plus minutes, he's actually averaging 21 points a game. Usage down a ton since his days in the Clippers, but his efficiency is going up, so there is that. Moving on to Evan Mobley, this one is tough. We can see he returned from the injury against the Nets, played 19 minutes in a blowout. Next game, close game against the OKC. They were losing, and he ended up playing only 25 minutes there. So at best, I could see him getting 28 tonight. So probably between 24 to 28. I don't think we have much sample size with his minutes being in that range. Only 4 games so far. One against the Knicks when he covers barely. We can see he shot 6 from 8. Crazy efficiency covered by 1 point. But he had 9 rebounds in that game. Looking at the assists, he had 3 assists in that game. So rebounds and assists at 9.5 could be a decent lean. As we can see, he covered in 3 games. And then last game, OKC, very rough matchup. So, but OKC is also the only game he played with Harden. So maybe there is that. So not much here. So yeah. Now let's move to the side of the Knicks, and that's where we're going to have our first official bet for today, and that's Jose Alvarado over 6.5 points, minus 125, pretty much wildly available. Up to minus 130, think it's pretty safe to bet, as we can see FanDuel, DraftKings, Bovara, Betano, BetRivers, all have it there. Shop around, definitely. Maybe you can find even better prices. Why I'm going with Jose Alvarado? Look at the game since he become a Knick. Since he joined the Knicks, we can see that he's averaging 10 points a game in 21 minutes on average. I have him for 21 minutes tonight, even though last game against the Bulls he ended up playing 25 minutes. Um, Now let's take a look at these games. He covered against the Boston Celtics 12 field goal attempts. He covered against the 76ers 13 field goal attempts. Then against the Indiana Pacers, he had 4 points, missed all 3 threes. He makes 1 3, he covers. Then against the Pistons, 6 points, 0 from 5 from 3. He makes 1 3, he covers. Then against the Rockets, horrible shooting, still covered. 3 from 9 in that game. And then against the Bulls, 2 from 8, 5 points, 1 from 6 from 3. He makes 1 more 3 or 2-pointer. He makes 1 more field goal attempts and he covers. So he's averaging 9 field goal attempts with the Knicks. And we have line at 6.5 in a matchup that's actually pretty decent. We can see that he scores most of his points spot up, transition, isolation, above the break 3, catch and shoot, even some pull-ups. And they are kind of allowing a ton of points from either. They are great rim defense, but he doesn't score much from the paint. So yeah, I think this is a good matchup overall. They need to play him big minutes because he's probably their best player to guard Donovan Mitchell. As we can see, the minutes are trending up. Last 3 games, he played 21, 20, and 25. Clarkson out of rotation gives him a plenty of flux, plenty of usage. So yeah, we're looking at the usage with the Cleveland Cavaliers. He's at 21.2 percentage, 6% higher usage than compared to the Pelicans days. And also, he played tough matchups. Like on the board, looking at this, like he scores most of his points from catch and shoot. Pacers are the best catch and shoot defense in the league. If you exclude that game, his average goes up to 11 and field goal attempts up to 10. And then he played Boston Celtics tough matchup, 76ers tough matchup, Pistons one of the most difficult matchups, and Houston one of the most difficult matchups. Now he gets above average matchup against the Cleveland Cavaliers. So great spot for Jose Alvarado. When we look at the season, so he is averaging with the Knicks 9 field goal attempts per game. When we look at the entire last 3 seasons, 165 games sample size, when he gets between 7 to 9 field goal attempts. So not 7, so he's averaging 9. We are just doing 7 to 9. Then he averages 7.7 field goal attempts, which is lower usage than he is going to have than what he is having with the Knicks. He covered this line in 76% of the games, averaging 8.5 points a game. When we add 6, when we lower it even further, still 67% covering, but when you do 6 to 10, 67%. So really like this spot for Jose Alvarado, our first official bet. And let's now move to the next game on the board, Wizards against the Hawks. Wizards are kind of weird lately. We can see that they're playing, for example, Trey Johnson, their rookie, played 19, 19, 19, 19 minutes over the last couple of games. Their guy that they drafted 6 on the draft last year, absolutely insane. Similar stuff with Keishan George. They're not even playing their young guys enough minutes. I don't know, like they are super weird tank. Usually when teams tank, they play their young guys, which should be enough to lose. But Wizards kind of been winning, even though they don't play even their young guys. Looking at the last couple of games, win, lost by 30, then lost by 14, then win against the Pistons. They won against the Pistons, the number 1 team in the East, which is very crazy thing to happen. But for this game, I'm targeting Onyeka Okongwu over 14.5 points, minus 116 to minus 120. Pretty wildly available. If you take a look on the entire season, this season, we can see that he's averaging 16 points a game. But if you take a look on the games without Trae Young and Kristaps Porzingis, then he's averaging 16.5. Let's set expected minutes with 26 to 38. Then he's averaging almost 17 points a game. But let's move on from that stuff and look at the game since the trade happened. And that means we need to include CJ McCollum in the lineup. And then he's at 16 point average, covering this in 9 out of 15 games. He's averaging 32 minutes a game, which is pretty consistent late. Like last game, he got 32. Game before that, 29 in a huge blowout. So let's now check the matchup. And we can see a ton of green on the screen, which is always the case when teams are playing against the Wizards, but definitely the best spot usually for opponent bigs. We can see that he scores most of his points above the break. 3 and at the rim, they are bottom 5 in both of those areas. 44% of his points comes from the catch and shoot. They are third most there. They allow third most in transition as well. A ton of free throws, ton of putbacks. Similar player by position, been cooking against the Wizards. They scored 34% more points than their closing lines and covering 12 out of the last 15. Absolutely insane numbers. And if you take a look at like defense against position, they allow second most to opposing bigs. And looking at this, we can see he played some great defensive teams against his position. If you exclude top 5, suddenly we have 17.5 points average, covering in 9 out of 13 games. But also catch and shoot. He's scoring almost half of his points from catch and shoot situations. So if you exclude the best catch and shoot team he faced, now he's averaging 18 points a game in this kind of matchup. And he gets the best possible matchup in the league. So guys, second official bet, Onyeka Okongwu over 14.5 points. On the side, maybe something with Kuminga being questionable for this game. He could make a debut against the Wizards tonight, but he probably going from the bench in limited minutes, so shouldn't interfere a lot with Onyeka Okongwu. On the side of the Wizards, I just can't make any bets. Like these minutes are horrific. We don't even. There is no like. Okay, for Trey Johnson, there is a pattern when he's playing 19 minutes, but like looking for like Carrington, we can see all the way all around 29, 22, 28, 22, 20, 30. So I really don't know what's going to happen with him and how many minutes he gets. So yeah, moving on to the next game, probably the best for this one. Next game on the board, Mavericks against the Nets. Just horrible teams all the way around, and both tanking teams, and the spread is 1.5. So this should be very much close game. And for this one, I love to target centers against the Dallas Mavericks because they just allow so many points at the rim and in the paint. And the guy that we are going to take a look at is Nicolas Claxton over 11.5 points. My third official bet on the show already. Nicolas Claxton over 11.5 points. Minus 130 for this one. Bit juiced, but doesn't matter. I still like it here. Most important part for this one is last 4 games we can see Claxton played 29, 28, 32, and 31. This one, 28, was a blowout game. This 29 minutes, another blowout game. And this one, when he got 32 minutes, he had some foul trouble issue. So yeah, but pretty consistently 28 plus minutes over the last couple of games. Even got 32 against the Bulls. So we should probably do like 26 as the lowest and up to 36. And then he's averaging 30 minutes, and I can see him playing 30 to 32. So this makes a ton of sense. And then he has a 13.4 points average on the season. And now let's take a look at the matchup. We can see that he scores 94% of his points from the paint. He's facing a team that allows the most paint points. They also allow fourth most to his position. Absolutely amazing for this matchup. And they're kind of just average in transition defense. I love a ton of putbacks, which is great. So when you look at the teams who are like outside of top teams in pay defense, we can see that he now covered this in 18 out of 23, averaging 14 points a game. But also need to take a look on like his second dominant shooting zone, which is paint non-restricted. We can see that he faced some great teams there. So when we exclude like top 10 teams in that area as well, then he covered this in 86% of the games, averaging 14 points a game. And also lastly, most importantly, head-to-head games, 2 games against the Dallas this season, scored 14 and 13 points covered in both, which is great to see. And now looking at the similar players by position and by props madness, we can see Gobert just put 22, Mark Williams with 13, Capella had 6 points in only 13 minutes. We had Durant coming close. He scored 17, didn't cover, but shot 8 from 20. Great volume. Gobert, another game where he cooked this line. Durant had 33 points game. So, yeah, they are doing great. Guys like Huff and Potter are not even similar to the Claxton role. So, yeah, probably the best to just ignore them. Like Musa Diabate covered, that's great, definitely. So yeah, Shadon Sharp, Maxim Reinhardt, Klingon, so these guys covered. So great spot for Nicolas Claxton, and that's our third official bet on the slate. Guys, if you like this kind of analysis and research, as always, make sure to hit that subscribe button and hit that like button as well. We have a big slate, so hopefully some variants our way tonight. Moving on to the next game, it's Thunder against the Raptors. Big decision to decide which Raptor to take an under on. Looking at my lean for this game, probably on calling Murray balls over 5.5 rebounds here. Not going to make it official because I hate betting rebounds as well, but Jakob being out definitely helps this one. And with Jakob when he gets expected minutes, which I think is not 20 to 30, which is 22 to 32. Then he's averaging 7.3 rebounds per game. And some of these unders came against the best rebounding teams like Houston Rockets. And he's not facing Houston Rockets. He covered this line in 10 out of 14 games, averaging 26 minutes, so 7 rebounds per 26 minutes. And I definitely think he plays like 26 to 28 minutes tonight without Jakob. And the matchup is, I would say, great. They allow a ton of rebounds. They don't allow as many rebounds when both Hartenstein and Holmgren play, but on the season they do allow above average rebounds, and we can see similar players lately being a lot of green since Hartenstein returned. So yeah, should be decent spot. On the side of the OKC, I don't know, like looking at Chet Holmgren here, questionable, could be out. That could definitely help calling Mario Balls to get his rebounds. But without Shea, he's kind of different player. Like he scores most of his points when Shea gets double teamed and when defenses put so much attention on Shea. So since he's being out, he covered in only one game against the Jazz. Any other team, he was kind of 16, 15, 17 points range, but didn't cover. So can't bet the over. Isaiah Joe been cooking lately, but not a great matchup for catch and shoot guys. So can't do that either. So let's go back to the Raptors and let's go back to Brandon Ingram. For this one, Lugensdort is playing. He's not questionable. Last couple of games, he got big minutes like 28, 29, 35. So I can definitely see him guarding Brandon Ingram here. And let's take a look Brandon Ingram against the OKC. We can see over the last couple of years, he is averaging 13 points against the OKC. They just swarm him insanely. Like look at over the last 3 years, when he gets like 30 plus minutes, he's averaging 22 points a game. But against the OKC, he is down to 14 points because they put Dort on him and Dort eats him alive. Like he just doesn't let him get anything. He stayed under in every single game. So our fourth official bet on the show today, Brandon Ingram under 21.5 points, minus 140, minus 130, pretty much wildly available. Yeah, let's dive deeper into the matchup. We can see that Brandon Ingram with Barnes, with Barrett, with Quickly on the season when he doesn't get injured, we can see that he averaging 21.5 points. So he's averaging 21.5 points all the way around on the season. And now he plays the worst matchup in the league. One of the best defense by far. And yeah, that's definitely rough. If you take a look on the last 10 defense and looking at defensive rating, when he's facing great defensive teams, he's averaging 16 points a game. And those great defensive teams are Spurs, only 14 points. Cleveland Cavaliers shot horribly, but only 11 points. Even if he made 2 more threes, he's at 17. Then cooked against the Golden State Warriors, but they play single coverage, and OKC doesn't. So yeah, Portland Trail Blazers 20 points, OKC 13 points, Pistons 13 points. So yeah, he wasn't covering in tough matchups this season. Only 16 points average, and now gets one of the toughest, not one of the toughest one in the league. Also, let's take a look at similar players. They held KD to 20 points. So even KD didn't go over 21.5 points. And looking at Banchero, struggled. KD again, overtime game, scored 19 points. The only guy that covered against them is by 1 point, and it was Kawhi Leonard, who is averaging like 30 points a game and barely covered with 22. You can also see that he scores 40% of his points from the paint. They allow the least paint points in the entire league. He scores most of his points from transition. They are the best there. The only points he can make is catch and shoot and spot up. They don't allow free throws. They don't allow isolation. So he could be in a very rough matchup tonight against the OKC. Fourth official bet, Brandon Ingram under 21.5 points. Moving on to the games, I'll cover the next 2 games as well. This one is rough. Like looking at Ken Thomas, probably a good matchup for him, honestly. Like he scores a ton of points from mid-range. We can see that they allow ton of points from short mid-range, ton of points above the break 3, ton of points isolation, transition, similar players cooking against. But last 3 games he played 21 to 20 minutes. I don't think that's enough to cover this line. Maybe to cover 14.5. But him covering it, required very much efficient scoring. So nothing there. Maybe rebounds for Miles Turner with no Giannis, and when he gets expected minutes, which is 24 to 32, he's at 5.9 average. So this matchup is the best in the league. They allow second most rebound and fourth most to his position. And also he played against them and had 8 rebounds in that game, but I hate rebounds, so staying away from it. On the side of the Miami Heat, we have Norman Powell at probably 19.5 widely available, which is one of the lowest lines of the season, but Tyler Hero and Adebayo are playing, so when he gets expected minutes with them, he's averaging 23 points a game. The only game that he didn't cover was against the Bucks, the team he's playing tonight. Even though the matchup for above the break 3, for spot up, catch and shoot looks great, only 11 points last time they played. A rough one, honestly. Bam Adebayo, they are great against centers. They are third best against centers. That's the only thing. Paint and centers are the only 2 things this team defends well. Can't go there. Definitely leaning over his 3-pointers, like over 1.5 threes at plus 130. Why? Look, guys, last 19 games, he covered this 3-point line in 12 out of 19 games, averaging 2.2 threes made a game. And looking at Bucks, they allow 5th most threes, a ton of above the break, a ton of spot up. So definitely leaning over at plus money for Bam Adebayo here. Nothing else on this one. Honestly, Bucks are a mess. Hornets and Bulls. I have no idea who is playing for the Bulls and how much. They have Jalen Smith questionable. Gide kind of weirdly only was limited 21 minutes, then 27, then back-to-back game he played only 23, 5, 6, and 27 points. if there is something like that's quite inconsistent, then there is that. Okoro, like playing the most minutes on the team, even though he's hot garbage on offense. Not much there. On the side of the Hornets, we now have Kobe White probable, so he'll probably play his first game of the season for this new team. But lines didn't change from any players, like Brandon Miller 21, Malamelo 20, Con at 18.5. Maybe Miles Bridges at 15.5 is a lean, and he gets expected minutes, which is 26 to 34 with Miller, Ball, and Con. We can see that he's averaging 16 points a game, and the matchup is absolutely amazing tonight. So maybe something to that part. I don't know, when he's placing team below average to his position, he's averaging 18 points, covering this in a ton of games. So yeah, matchup absolutely amazing. So he should be in a great spot, but still a lean. I don't know how Kobe White playing impacts his scoring here. Moving on to the next game, it's Warriors against the Pelicans. Another spot where guy could make a debut. That's DeJounte Murray is said to be making a first game of the season tonight against the Warriors. So that could, I don't know the minutes, probably like some low minutes, like 15 to 20 minutes for DeJounte, but wouldn't be surprised if he gets more because this team is mess. But we can see injury report, not Trey Murphy, the leading scorer on the team, so that could mean some higher usage for the top guys. We can see that Saddiq Bey has been cooking lately, like last couple of games, last, I don't know, 15 games. He covered this in 10 out of 15, averaging 20. Like we have 2026, Saddiq Bey averaging 21 points over the last 15 games. That's crazy, guys. And playing at the Pelicans next to Zion, that definitely helps him get better looks. But also he's averaging 32 minutes a game, so can't fade this one, even though DeJounte could be back. So maybe at 19.5, I would lean under because Golden State Warriors is still great defense. Moving on, Fierce. I would love to bet Fierce over. But with DeJounte Murray being back, if there is a player that he could take minutes of, that's Jeremiah Fierce. Even though last couple of games we can see he consistently played big minutes, like last, I don't know, 6 games, 28 up to, like lowest was 25 in a blowout last game, but he played up to 30, 31 minutes. So when we look at the games when he gets 22 plus to 34 minutes on the season, we can see he's averaging 14.4 points. Now there is no Trey Murphy. Without Trey Murphy, he's averaging 14.6. But we can see that Zion is playing. So with Zion, without Poole is out because they don't just play him, they kind of shut him down. Still averaging 13.5 overall with Zion, and with Trey Murphy, 13.5. So now without Trey Murphy, his usage will go even higher. So maybe if you take a look at like 24-34, now he's cooking this line. 24-32 doesn't change much. 24 to 30 minutes doesn't change much. So definitely a lean on Jeremiah Fierce over. Also, he scores 65% of his points in the paint, and we can see the Golden State Warriors is just average paint defense, and they are poor against spot up and transition, where he scores most of his points. Similar players also covering helps. Dylan Harper, one of them, 14 points. So yeah, this could be another lean, great spot. On the side of the Warriors, I can't do anything. Looking at these guys, Melton, Moses Moody, Brandon Pojemski, okay, they are the main guys on a team in 2026, which is crazy. So yeah, no Steph, no Jimmy Butler, Melton questionable, Porzingis out, Draymond Green questionable, Horford questionable. So we have Pojemski and Moody being the only guys safe to play from like top 15 guys on the team. So this is a mess. Can't do much here. Yeah, rough one. Pelicans definitely a great matchup, but these lines are crazy. So guys, we are already 30 minutes in, so I'll just cover one more game. 11 games too much to cover. We could run this show for like an hour or more. So last game I'll cover is Wolves against the Blazers because I have something to say about this one. Very important for this game is no Danny Avdija and Shadon Sharp. These guys take 40 field goal attempts a game. So don't look at this line for the Jeremy Grant, Drew Holiday, or Scoot and think it's too high. Like, look at Jeremy Grant, we can see he's under this line in like most of these games. Drew Holiday under this line in most of these games, but he's now out of minutes restriction. Looking at last couple of games, he played 25 plus minutes. When the game is not a blowout, even 30 minutes. So 25 plus. I will even do like 27 to 37 minutes for him, and then he's averaging 17 points a game. Now there is no Avdija. Without Avdija, he's averaging 22 points a game. Without Avdija and Sharp, you can see he covered in both games 21 and 31 points. Huge 23% usage, 26 points average. So when we look at this, 27 to 37 minutes, but we need to do usage stuff, which over the last 3 games was the lowest. That was 22% and up to 28 and 38%. So just setting this at 18 plus percent usage, now he's averaging 19 points a game. And let's now try to move it up to 21%. That's the lowest he had over the last 3 games. Now he covered this in 8 out of 12 games, averaging 19.5 points a game. I also need to check for his efficiency. When we exclude the games when he shot below 30%, which is horrible shooting, we can see that he covered this in 8 out of 11 games. Actually, this game against the Wolves, he shot 33%. Against Miami, 32%. He covered when he shot 32%, which is insane. But let's look like 35 to 55%. Then he's averaging 18.6 points. So this usage and those minutes are enough to cover 17.5 line. Matchup looks on the paper like not great, but he already played in twice this season and scored 14 on poor shooting and 23 without Sharp. This one without Sharp probably much more relevant. So yeah, leaning over on Drew Holiday. Scoot Henderson last game got 30 minutes of the bench. Didn't start the second half after Avdija injury. So yeah, 25.5 points, rebounds, and assists could be the look, but he stayed under in every single one. But he's averaging 22 minutes, was on heavy minutes restriction. Now he could get 30 minutes and then he should be able to cover this. But yeah, matchup not great. They are 6 points underdogs and they could get blown out. So there is that for this one. And that's it, guys. We came to the end of this slate. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope we have a better luck tonight. Last night we split on Şengün and Keldon Johnson. So no damage done. Lately we being up and down, we win, we lose, we win, we lose. We are staying in that 22 units of profit range. Hopefully it turns a bit more our way and we have a profitable night. See you tomorrow.